Okay, what did you do or study at uni or college, and why? Was it always your aim to be a diplomat? I'm a failed engineer. I started off in mechanical engineering, then switched to history, and no, it was not my aim to be a diplomat. Jessica, my wonderful partner, suggested it, but I do have five sisters, so I grew up in a big family. So I think diplomacy has been something that I've known for a long time. What does being a diplomat involve, and what does an embassy do? Ooh, that's a question for a long answer, but I'll try and make it short. We help our citizens who are visiting or living in the country in which we are, so Americans who are visiting or living in Australia. And then we work with both foreign governments or the current government on what is of interest to the US and the American people. So I work with businesses and students and communities to talk about our priorities. How often do I meet with the president? Not that often. I have met with the president several times during my career. I've met with George W. Bush and worked for him when he came to Sydney. I have met Barack Obama a couple of times, both overseas and in Washington, including one time where I was introducing leaders and I turned around at one spot in Prague and there he was right behind me. I have also met with Vice President Biden, who's now President Biden, and worked for him on a couple of other occasions. So probably about 6 or 7 times I've met the president. What's your best advice for someone wanting to become a diplomat? My best advice is go and challenge yourself. Go and live in a different country. Do something different. Living in certainly in the United States would be great, and getting that experience. But challenging yourself and going and living in Southeast Asia or in Africa somewhere. I think that gives you a lot of good skills of working in a different culture, which is one of the core traits that we look for in diplomats. Which American sports teams are you a fan of? Well, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, so I'm a fan of all the Washington teams, such as the Washington football team, the Washington Nationals, which is their baseball team, the Washington Wizards, or they were called the Bullets when I was growing up, the Washington Capitals, which is the hockey team, DC United, which is the soccer team. Growing up, we didn't have a baseball team, so I did support Baltimore, the Orioles, but now I support the Nationals. Go Nationals! Have you been to or lived in Australia before taking on this role? Yes, I have. Lived in Melbourne and served in Melbourne from 2005 to 2007, and we really loved it. So now we're delighted to be in the best city in the best state in Australia, in Perth, WA. Did you get to choose Australia, or did they send you where there was an opening? In our line of work, each time you are about to leave one job, you have to find a new job. And so you're competing against other people. And so there were a lot of people who wanted to come to Perth, and I was lucky enough to convince them to choose me. What do you do in Perth that's different from the consulates in Melbourne or Sydney? We do very similar work. We're helping American citizens, we're adjudicating visas so that Australians can go and travel or live or work in the United States, and we're out and about in the community talking about this amazing relationship the United States has with Australia. Out here in Perth, it also means talking to businesses and local governments and community leaders. It means talking a lot about the resources community, and I've really gotten to travel throughout this entire state, from Karratha and Port Hedland and Broome to Albany and soon to be to Esperance. What's the best part about living in Perth? The people, of course. Other than that, also the beaches are fantastic. Being out on the Swan, seeing dolphins, going out to Rottnest, enjoying the wonderful food and parks and restaurants, the sunshine, Kings Park. There's so much to love about being in Perth and being in WA. Do I like pineapple on pizza? Absolutely not. I do not like pineapple on my pizza. I will not order pineapple on my pizza. It shouldn't be on pizza. What's your favorite book and why would you recommend it? I'm more of a film person, but I do try and read as much as I can. I mostly read history books, nonfiction, but one book that has stuck with me for the past year has been Colson Whitehead's Underground Railroad, which I think is now out on video as well too. It is a searing and beautifully written book about race and the legacy of slavery in the United States. Thank you so much for sending in all of your questions. I've really enjoyed doing this. Let us know if you want us to do this again. Always happy to take all your questions.